नाम्नाकारी बहुधा निज सर्वशक्ति
नाम अकारी बहुधा निज सर्वशक्ति
तत्रापिता नियमित स्मरणेन काल
तत पिता नियमित समरेण कालः
एतादृ तव कृपा भगवान् ममापि
गीतार्चि तव कृपा भगवान् ममापि
दुर्दैवयुद्रम् इह दीनानुराग
दुर्दैवम् ईश्वरम् अयजानि नेचरगर
नाम्नान् अकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्ति
नाम्नाम् अकारी भूत बहुधा निसर्वशक्ति
तत्रापिता नियमित स्मरणेन काल
तत्र पिता नियमित समरेण न कालः
एतादृ तव कृपा भगवान् ममापि
एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवान् ममापि
दुर्दैवयुद्रम् इह जानिनानुराग.
दुर्दैवम् ईदृशीम् इह जानीनि चरगरम्.
Any Prabhuji or Mataji you would like to lead? Okay.
Can you try, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
नाम नाम अकारि बहुधा निज सर्व शक्ति
नाम्नाकारी बहुधा निज सर्व शक्ति
तत्र पिता नियमित समरेण न कालः
तत्र पिता नियमित स्मरणेन काल
एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवान् ममापि
एतादृश तव कृपा भगवान् ममापि
दुर्दैवम् ईदृशम् इह जानि ननु
दैवयुद्रशम् इह जानिनानुराग. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
नाम्नाकारे बहुधा निज सर्वशक्ति
नाम्नाकारी बहुजा निज सर्वशक्ति
तत्र पिता नियमिता स्मरणेन कालः
तत्रार्पिता नियमित स्मरणेन काल
एतादृशी त्व कृपा भगवान् ममापि
एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवान् ममापि
दूरदैवम् ईदृशम् इहानिनानुराग
दुर्दैवमिदृशम् इह जानिनानुराग. Mataji, you wanted to lead?
Yes.
Go ahead.
नामनाकारी बहुधा निज सर्वशक्ति
नाम्ना अकारी बहुजा निज सर्वशक्ति
तत्रार्पिता नियमित स्मरणेन काल
तत्रार्पिता नियमित स्मरणेन काल
एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि
एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवान् ममापि
दुर्दैवमीदृशम् इह अज्ञानी न अनुरागः
दुर्दैवम् ईदृशम्
जानिनानुराग. Thank you very much. Word by word meaning. Nam of the holy names of the Lord.
Nam of the holy names of the Lord.
Akari manifested.
Akari manifested.
Bahuda various kinds.
Bahuda various kinds.
Nija Sarva Shakti.
Nisarva Shakti.
All kinds of personal potencies.
All kinds of personal potencies.
Tatra in that.
Tatra in that.
Arpita bestowed.
Bestowed.
Niyamita restricted.
Restricted.
Smarane in remembering.
Smarane in remembering.
Na not.
Not.
Kala consideration of time.
Kala consideration of time.
Etadrush so much.
Etadrasi, so much.
So much.
There's so much.
Tava, your.
Tava, your.
Kripa, mercy.
Kripa, mercy.
Kripa, mercy.
Bhagavan, O Lord.
Bhagavan, O
Bhagwan,
Lord.
O Lord.
Mama, my.
Maya,
Mama,
my.
my.
Api, although.
Api,
Happy,
although.
although.
Durdaiva, misfortune.
Durdaivam,
Durdaiva,
misfortune.
misfortune.
Idrisham, such.
Idrasham, such.
Drisham, such.
Iha, in this,
Iha.
the holy name.
Iha,
In
the
this,
in
the
the
holy name.
holy
in
name.
this holy name.
Ajani was born.
Ajani
was
was
born.
born.
No, not.
No,
No,
not.
Anugraha, attachment.
Anugraha,
Anugraha,
attachment.
attachment.
Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
O my Lord,
My
O
Lord.
my Lord,
Oh my Lord.
O Supreme Personality of Godhead,
O
O
Supreme
Supreme
Personality
Personality
of
of
Godhead,
Godhead,
in your holy name,
in your
in your
holy
holy
name,
name,
there is all good fortune for the living entity.
there is
There is
all
there
all
is
good
all
fortune
good
for
the
fortune
living
for the
entity.
living entity.
And therefore,
And
Therefore,
Therefore,
you have many names,
you have many
have
you have
names,
many names,
such as Krishna
such
such
as
such
as
as Krishna
Krishna
and Govinda,
and
and
Govinda,
Govinda,
by which
by
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 which
which
you expand yourself.
you
you
expand
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 yourself.
yourself.
You have invested all your potencies
You
have
have
you have
invested all your
Invested all your
potencies
potencies
in those names,
in
in
those
those
names,
names.
and there are no hard and fast rules
and there
And
and
there are
there are
no hard
no
and
hard and
fast
hard and
rules
fast
fast
rules
for remembering them.
for
for remembering
remembering
them.
them.
My dear Lord,
My
My
dear
dear
Lord,
Lord,
although you bestow
although
although
you
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 bestow
bestow
such mercy upon the fallen,
such
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 mercy
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 upon the
upon the
fallen,
fallen,
conditioned souls,
conditioned
conditions,
soul,
so
by liberally teaching
by
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 liberally
liberally
teaching
teaching
liberally teaching
your holy names.
your
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 holy
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 names.
names.
name.
I am so unfortunate that
I
I
am
am
so
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 unfortunate that
unfortunate that
unfortunate that
I commit offenses
I
I
commit
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 offenses
offenses
while chanting the holy name,
while
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 chanting the
chanting the
chanting the
holy
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 name.
name.
and therefore
and
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 therefore,
Therefore,
therefore
I do not achieve attachment for chanting.
I do
I
not
do
do
not
achieve
not
achieve
attachment for
attachment for
chanting.
chanting.
Let's all chant together if you want. Agamagyana timirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurmritam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna
Hey
Karuna
Krishna
Sindhu
Karuna Sindhu
Dinabandhu Jagatpate
Dinabandhu Jagatpate
Gopesha
Gopesha
Gopika
Gopika
Kanta Radha
Kanta Radha
Kanta
Kanta
Namastute
Namostute
Tapta
Tapta
Kanchana
Kanchana
Gaurangi Radhe
Gaurangi Radhe
Vrindavaneshwari
Vrindavaneshwari
Vrishabhanusute Devi
Vishwanusute Devi
Pranamami
Pranamami
Haripriye
Haripriye
Vanchakalpataru
Panchakalpa
Vishakripa Sindhu
Tarubhyacha Kripa
Vaivacha
Sindhu
Patitanam
Devacha
Pavanevyo
Tinampa Mevyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
Namo Namo
Jai Shri
Jai
Krishna
Sri
Chaitanya
Krishna
Prabhu
Chaitanya
Nityananda Shri
Prabhu
Advaita Gadadhar
Nityananda Shri
Shivash
Advaita
Adi
Gadadhara
Gaura Bhakta
Shivasadi
Vrinda
Gaura Bhaktavrinda
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama Hare
Hare
Rama
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 Rama Hare
Rama
Hare
Hare
Nilachal Nivasa Nitya Brahmatmane Balabhadra Subhadra Bhani Jagannath Haritam. Thank you so much for joining this wonderful Sangha. Uh, Discussing Sistastakam is very powerful because it is just not an array of some poetic uh, outcomes by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is actually a set of instructions. And these instructions you worked on, you heard the chapter, the first verse, which is very, very powerful, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke about humility and so many beautiful qualities. And here in this verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining or rather instructing us the importance of the name. So today we'll be focusing on the power of the holy name. the holy name is such powerful that Krishna is no different from his holy name. As we say, Krishna is no different from Krishna Prasad. When Krishna Prasad is kept on the floor and somebody is stepping on it, we tell them, you don't step on it, because there is no difference between Krishna and Krishna Prasad. Likewise, Krishna is absolute. And in that sense, Krishna being absolute, there is no difference between he and his name. So today we are going to dwell more into the context and discuss a little bit about this verse. So here, this verse is very much part of the Antalila of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's written by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but is actually embedded within the Antalila of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is broken down into Adilila, the beginning part of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Madhyalila, the middle part of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Antalila of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the end. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spent around 48 years in this material world, out of which 24 years, half of his time, he spent as a sannyasi. And out of the 24 years of the 48 years in this manifested Leela, in this universe, material universe, he spent 18 years out of the 24th year in Jagannath Puri. And the remaining 6 years, he went to South India, North India, and various different places. So the beginning, the childhood pastimes, Adi Leela, there are around 17 chapters, Madhya Leela 15, 25 chapters, and Anta Leela has around 20 chapters. So as you can see, today we discussed the 16th, the 20th chapter, which we all spoke about. It's actually the 20th chapter and of Anta Leela, and we read the 16th verse. The first verse of Sikshastakam was, I think, the 13th verse of the 20th chapter. So it's actually 3 verses before this. So today we are going to, and in this chapter, you'll see references to Sikshastakam by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who is the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So here we are in the end. So here, when we're coming to a Leela of a Supreme Personality of Godhead, you happen to create theories, you happen to create instructions. So this is exactly a perfect place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going out to instruct. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining this, actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not write a lot of books in his life. He just wrote the simple 8 verses, and these 8 verses are the cornerstone of Achinta Bheda Abheda philosophy, which Gaudiya Vaishnavas follow in our, because we are simultaneously one and the different, and it's inconceivable that is Achinta, it's inconceivable. So this set of 8 verse instruction is the only thing which is documented, which is written by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is actually the beginner of the Gaudiya Vaishnavism as we know it, and ISKCON is part of it. So it is not focusing on the narration of the Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Krishna or Govinda in that sense, but this is a collection of instructions. And these instructions should be taken seriously, should be internalized by all of us. And these instructions are coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when he's actually instructing, there are a couple of thought process which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is putting. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is thinking about Namna, that means he's trying to talk about the names of the Lord, he's actually reflecting and he's contemplating. And so whenever you think about this flow of this Sikshastakam, you see some instructions, how you should be humbler than blade of grass, instructions. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is immersing or absorbing himself with the glories of the name. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is executing an smaranam or absorption, and then he is reflecting as the Sikshastakam progress. So Sikshastakam, as you're going to hear in the next 5, 10, 20 sessions by devotees, it's actually a collection of instruction, absorption, and reflection and contemplation. So this is not something, okay, you go from A to B. It's not like that. Sikshastakam is been there, done it. I have experienced it. So you follow it. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a practical showcase of the spiritual treatise which has existed. So here there is a lot of things happening. As you can see, when Krishna is the object on which you want to develop relationship, you're basically establishing a relationship, establishing a sambandha. And this process, which is called abhidaya, of developing this relationship is nothing but bhakti. And then as you start immersing yourself in this bhakti, as you end up doing, you want to do garland in such a way, then you feel like, hey, the Lord's appearance day is coming, Baldev's appearance day is coming very soon, Shyam Sundar's appearance day is coming. We just had the appearance day of the Lord of the universe. They will look good, and so you start developing that love or prema. So, so here in Sikshastakam, you'll see all these aspects, the sambandha, where we are establishing Krishna as the object of desire, where he's referring in every verse. He will probably end with referring to Krishna, and then the process of developing relationship being bhakti, which we all are practicing in different stages of our life, where we're trying. Bhakti is not something which is a child thing and you can acquire a lot of things. So love is all about expression, and more you express, it comes out nicely. And then the inspiration we draw from love is a gradual process of prema. Most of the material love, it ends after 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. But this love for the absolute personality of Godhead, or the supreme personality of Godhead, is it grows over a period of time. As you know Krishna more, as you know Krishna dancing on the hood of Kalia and getting rid of poison, you start loving him more and more, which is the difference between the material love, which ends after some time, where the spiritual love, it grows over a period of time. So here we want to discuss the importance of holy name, because this verse starts with namna, right? It starts with namna. That means it's the power of name. So today we're going to discuss the power of name. Namna akari bahuda nija sarvasakti. It starts with the power of the holy name. So why we want to talk about holy name is, as Srila Prabhupada is explaining, is Krishna has invested everything in the name. Some of the players you will see, cricket players you will see, they've invested everything in their cover drive. So they do the cover drive, and then people spend hundreds and thousands of dollars, come from various different places to see them cover drive. Some people have exhibited and invested everything. Likewise, in a different way, just I'm trying to give example, not exactly that way, but Krishna has invested everything in the holy name. That's the reason why we have to have a strong faith in the holy name. There are a lot of sampradayas, they will tell ISKCON or many other Gaudiya Vaishnava paramparas that this is a theory. There is no value in uttering the name again and again and again. So we just want to repose that faith in the holy name in such a way that our chanting quality, our remembrance increases. So whenever we utter something, our brain or our ears, we hear, and then as we do more and more, it also touches the soul. So the soul is in the heart, and your brain and ear and everything is in the head. So as you're uttering the name of the Lord, your senses are getting served up by the serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So people may call us theoretical in whatever ways, but we should all understand that there is an immense power in the whole holy name, and uttering, starting with mechanically, and then eventually getting a rasa, getting a habit of waking up early. So for all of us, it is very important. Sometimes we take initiation, and after that we take it easy. It's not, we have to think about how we repose the faith in the holy name. So we'll look at some of the verses. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a very powerful verse. Kritaya dhrayato Vishnum tretayam yajato make dwapare paricharyam Kalau dat Harikirtana. That means in Satya Yuga, it was the meditation on Vishnu. Kritayat Dhyato Vishnu. It was the meditation on Vishnu. Tretayam Ajatomaki. That means in Treta Yuga, it was sacrifices. In Dwapara Yuga, it was serving the Lord's lotus feet. Kalau tat Harikirtana. That means in Kali Yuga, it's the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So if anybody asks us about why the chanting is important, because in this age, if you have fever, you can't eat a medicine for stomachache. If you have stomachache, you can't eat the medicine for fever. Kalau tat Harikirtana. That means in this age of Kali, the only solution is Harikirtana. Srimad Bhagavatam, not written by one of us, it's written by Vyasadeva thousands and millions of years ago. And in Purana, Brihad Naradiya Purana, it is mentioned, Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva Nasteva Gati Anyatha. That means in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, no other way, no other way. Puranic reference, not quoted by one of us, Brihad Naradiya Purana talks about Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva 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 Gati Anyatha. In Vishnu Purana, in this age, there is no use in meditation, sacrifice, and temple worship. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, one can achieve perfect self-realization. Kalau Sankirta Kesava. That means in Vishnu Purana, Puranic reference, it is mentioned that in this age of Kali, the only way is to chant the holy name of the Lord. Then in Upanishad, it's mentioned, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti Sikshastakam Namnam Kali Kalmanashanam Nata Parutapra Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. That means these 16 words, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. This Hare Krishna is not created 50 years back when ISKCON was found, or 500 years back when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. It is mentioned in Upanishad. This Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, are especially meant for counteracting the contamination of Kali, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. To save oneself from the contamination of Kali, there is no alternative but the chanting of the 16 words. Upanishad, not written by anyone else. And also, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami talks to Parikshit Maharaj when Parikshit Maharaj knew that he is about to die from the snake bite. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan astihi eko mahan guna kirtanat eva krishnasya mukta sangha paramrajit. So sometimes what happens, you write an exam, and sometimes in order to get an A, you have to do 90 plus. In order to get a B, you have to do 80 plus. But sometimes you fall sick, you had COVID. So what the teacher said is, because this timing is not right and there is a pandemic, I'm going to do A's for anybody who is more than 60 and B's who are more than 50%. Because the situation in Kali Yuga is so degraded, there is a lot of difficulty in Kali Yuga, but there is one benefit, that it is so much degraded that the level of availability of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is through the uttering of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's names. So no need to do meditation. It has got so much of fault that it's such a pandemic situation that in order to get A's, I can handle 60 plus. So Krishna is saying, Kaler dosi nidhe rajan. There are a lot of problems with Kali Yuga, but it has one benefit. Mahan guna. There's one benefit. And that benefit is the levels are so low that we can do chanting of the holy name and get the mercy of the Lord. Then Padma Purana, Krishna is telling to Narad Muni, Mad Bhakta Yatra Gayanti Tatra Tishtami Narada. Krishna is saying, wherever my devotees are chanting, when the devotees chant the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Lord Krishna is present immediately. So Krishna dances on the tongue of the devotee who is chanting all the time. So there are so many references from Puranas, Upanishads, Srimad Bhagavatam, which clearly explains the importance of the chanting of the holy name, because the name of Krishna and Krishna, the person, are both spiritual. So we have a name, and we are actually, this name is very temporary. This name is valid for like 50, 60, 70 years. And after that, when we change our body, we get a different name. But Krishna is absolute. Krishna was there millions and millions years ago, and he mentions Aham Sarvascha Prabhu in Bhagavad Gita, that everything comes from him. So Krishna is absolute, and his name and he are no different. So whenever we invoke Krishna, whenever we have a kid who is crying on the floor, the kid is crying. Anytime the kid calls out for mother, the mother comes running. The ability to call out is different, because in the call out, you're basically trying to have a sambandha, you're trying to have a relationship. And when that relationship is exhibited, Krishna comes, because Krishna says, Madbhakta yatra gayanti, tatra tishtami narada. That means wherever devotees are chanting the names of the Lord, when the devotees are calling out to the name of the Lord, Gajendra pastime, when the Gajendra called out for the name of the Lord and he gave a flower to the Lord, Lord came running with his Sudarshan Chakra. So wherever Lord is present in the heart of the devotees. And when devotees call out the name of the Lord in the bona fide sources, some people may ask, why are you not doing Radhe Radhe? Why are you not Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare? Srila Prabhupada says you can do Radhe Radhe, but our acharyas have told us to do the 16-syllable Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We are sampradaya based. We are based on disciplic succession. Krishna consciousness is a flowing river through disciplic succession. Evam parampara praptam. If there is no parampara, there is no Krishna consciousness. So we should look at ways in which, because our acharyas have said it, and it's mentioned in the scriptures, we resort to the chanting of this mantra again and again and again with so much of faith that we relish chanting, doesn't become a lazy affair. And also, Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jiver Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. That's means our default setting. When you buy a computer, it comes with this setting. If you mess with the setting, the computer is going to go bad. If you try to increase memory, lower heat, this, that, if you know the computer aspects, you're going to have. But if you stay with the default setting, our default setting is our Jiver Swarupa Krishna. Our default setting is we are the servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you try to be master of this and you try to boss around and you choose not to refer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has just created this beautiful universe, and it's so beautifully mentioned in the Srishti Leela of the Lord in second canto, with Sarga, Visarga, primary creation, secondary creation, and whenever we don't pay taxes, we get a letter from Uncle Sam. But this beautiful universe is created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we have not taken care of it. We are not offering the thing, and this yagya, which is why, whenever you do yagya, it goes, rains, evaporation rains, and then it eventually goes into the stomach through the rice or whatever, and then eventually the creation of this universe through the cycle of birth and death. If we start messing with the rules of engagement of this Prakriti, this beautiful nature, which is created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we will have consequences. So our default setting is Jiva Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. We have to recognize that we are the servant of the servant of the servant. Our default setting is that, and it will take maybe 20 years for a devotee to understand. There are a lot of people 60 years, 70 years past. They don't understand that their default setting is Jiva Swarupa Krishna Nityadas, and they have challenges, and that this is something you have this wonderful society through which you are understanding, or the Sikshastakam is being discussed. So, and also sometimes why we should think Krishna, who is absolute, because Krishna is Bhagavan. He possesses the 6 qualities which is mentioned by Parashar Muni, and they are full of strength, fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty. And once you have this 5, you don't have the sense of renunciation, and Krishna has. And that is why Krishna is Bhagavan. He possesses Bhaga. That's why he is Bhagavan. One who possesses Bala, he is Balavan. One who possesses Dhana, he is Dhanavan. One who possesses Rupa, he is Rupavan. And one who possesses Bhaga, as mentioned by Parasar Muni, is the 6 qualities. Once you have this 5, you don't have renunciation. Krishna has that. So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is absolute. His name and himself are no different. And this is exactly enforced by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is where we have to think. The modern man, all of us, we are always disturbed. We are misguided. We are lazy. We're quarreling all the time. We have short lives. We have probably maximum get to 100. In Dwapar Yuga, it was 1,000. In Treta Yuga, it was 10,000. And it was 100,000 in Satya Yuga. And we are very unlucky because we don't believe this prarabdha karma cycle and the nuances, which is so nicely explained in Bhagavad Gita. In these conditions, chanting is the easy and sure method of self-realization, because we don't have time, we have challenges, and for a modern man, it is always peaceful for us to remember and have that tendency to call out the Lord, exactly like how the child example we discussed, where the child calls out to his or her mom. The mom comes. Until that, she was crying or he was crying. Mom was doing. And that is where we have to have this love for chanting the Namna. And that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. When our desire to chant and have this love for the name diminishes, we have challenges. And this is when we fall down. When you increase your quality of chanting at Brahma Muhurta, you wake up and you start chanting, and you'll see that your day goes well, because you're surrendered the day, the beginning of the day, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and over a period of time, you're thinking, you're meditating, you're smaranam, you're contemplating, and because of that, your focus. So if you want focus, spending quality time in the morning, as this beautiful kid is trying to chant, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was going through Jharikhanda forest, the chanting, when he was going, the tigers and deers, they were all dancing in Jharikhanda forest, and the tigers forgot that their lunch and dinner are the deer, and they are all dancing together in the Jharikhand forest just by the names of the Lord. Very simple, sublime, can be done at any time, humble mood. And also in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions why you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and in the same time carry out your prescribed duty. So because we are living, we don't have to go to Himalayas. We can live wherever we are, but still remember Krishna. It's the mood to be with Krishna with the chanting, so that you have that personal time with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the sadhana we should end up doing all the time. And here you see Hanumanji, when he went out to Sanjeevani, he just called out Jai Shri Ram, and with the name, he just went through, he flew, because he had that immense power in the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Ram, for example, he had to go through the bridge, but Lord's name is so powerful, with so much of bhakti. Hanumanji, just uttering with full faith, right from the heart, he flew, just because he had tremendous faith in the holy name. And many times we don't. And this is where we, as sadhakas, have something. And here, Narad Muni is saying, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Kayadu, who Narad Muni had to keep in her ashram, because Indra wanted to kill Mother Kayadu's womb, because it was mentioned that the Hiranyakashipu's son is going to kill, and they were threatened. So they wanted to. So Narad Muni, knowing the ploy of Indra, kept Kayadu, mother of Prahlad Maharaj. And as Narad Muni was chanting, it has so much of power that the of Mother Kayadu listened right from the childhood. So when Prahlad Maharaj came out from Mother's womb, Mother Kayadu, he was behaving as if he knew everything. It is because at the very early age, that's the reason why there are so many sanskaras we have, which helps the progeny, because the power of the holy name is such that once it is uttered and you hear from a bona fide source, it has so much of effect. It doesn't affect you, it affects someone who is about to take birth in 9-10 months. That's the power of the holy name. And also, when Bilwa Mangal Thakur, the Chaurastakam, the prayers we are reciting nowadays in the Purushottama Mas, Adhik Mas, after Jagannath Astakam in our temple, the author of Chaurastakam is Bilwa Mangal Thakur. Bilwa Mangal Thakur had a very challenging prior life during his youth. That's a different pastime. But and eventually he became blind because of that pastime. He was after material pleasures, but that's not the pastime we want to discuss. He was so much engrossed in the pastime, in the singing of the glories of the Lord, that Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, used to come and hear Bilwa Mangal Thakur sing, because there is so much of call out, there is so much of karuna, there is so much of truthfulness, there is so much of lack of fake attitude, that when Bilwa Mangal Thakur used to sing, Krishna used to come, and there are many such beautiful pastimes. It's the name which magnifies the power of, and that is why the name has so much of power that you can't think of any other way. And that is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he is explaining Sikshastakam, he is providing that if we do not have the name of the Lord, if we do not have ruchi in calling out the name of the Lord, it's a disgrace. And how we should initially, our seriousness may not have set in, but as we spend more time in Krishna consciousness, we should recognize that we should remove offenses from chanting our chanting of the holy name, and that is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that we are so much fallen. We conditioned souls like us, we are so much of fallen that we do not recognize the importance of offenseless chanting. How we should chant in a way wherein we do not offend the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. And Lord has come in various different forms, as Shyam Sundar, as Lord Jagannath, or as as uh, as Govinda, as mentioned here. So all of these names have so much of power, because you think about the pastime of the Lord in that particular thing, wherever when Arjuna would ask a question, and in the beginning of 18th chapter, if you remember, he would refer to Krishna as Kesi Nisudana. Kesi Nisudana, Kesi is a horse demon, and whenever the horses have doubts, they have to control by putting the rope around their mouth, and Kesi was a demon, and that's where he's referred as somebody who, and doubts are like demons. So he's referring to Krishna to clear the doubt, and he's referring to, so that pastime of that particular name calling is coming into effect, and Krishna is absolute. Sometimes what is absolute, for those who want to discuss, whenever you have -3, you apply absolute function, it is 3. Whether it is 3 or -3, it is 3, because you apply the absolute function. So Krishna is absolute in the sense, see, our material body, because once the soul leaves us after 60, 70, whatever number of years, we are matter. But Krishna, everything is absolute. His name, fame, his prasadam, it's all absolute. So any way we get in touch with him, his name, his prasadam, his books, his pastimes, and how we can in all of these things, Krishna has invested all the potencies and powers. And how in this Kali Yuga, as we look through so many references from the Puranas, from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Upanishads, everybody is very clearly mentioning that in this age of Kali, in this age, the medicine is so and so. Whether you accept it or not, we'll continuously argue with so many other different sampradayas, but in this method, it's a well documented, nicely recommended, and it's spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is actually reinforcing our faith. And this is something we should take it away after this, or if you have Ruchi, make it more. 16, making it 18 doesn't hurt, or making quality chanting in our method of calling out the names of the Lord, or however way you would increase the quality of chanting. Our entire society, our entire parampara is based on chanting. If you do end up every service, if you do prasadam, you do deity worship, this, that, but we do not do the chanting, our fundamental ground rule is chanting. Everything else is on the top of it. So chanting is the basis, and quality chanting is something we all should aspire. Gradually, if we are falling down, we want to go to office early, 1 or 2 days, try to compensate. But our ability to have that ruchi with the name, as it is so nicely mentioned in the second verse which we are reading today. So if you take to the offenseless chanting which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, it's a journey. It's a way of life, just a way of life to qualitatively call out to the name of the Lord. When the calling out to the name of the Lord will happen at the time when our end is about to come, life is a preparation, death is examination, and no one knows the examination date. When that happens, when the life is about to leave us, at the time, because of this exercise, because of this practice we have put in, we'll remember. Otherwise, there'll be serpents which will be biting at the time, and we'll have nowhere to go. So what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying is very deep. It will help us. It helped Ajamil. It will help us. So calling out to the name of the Lord is very important in our sampradaya, and I hope you already have so many. You're great chanters. You wake up in the morning at 5 and log on to Zoom to do chanting. If at all your quality is good, make it greater. But your only way to uh, do Guru Dakshina to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to increase our quality of chanting after going through Sikshastakam verse number 2. So with that, we can go on and on, but we'd like to hear some reflections from your comments, corrections, reflections. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Hare Krishna.
Any comments, questions?
Ram Prabhuji, I had a question I just posted in the chat, but I can read for you.
Sure, go ahead, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I'm new to the Krishna consciousness. I'm trying to learn. So, I have a couple of questions. One is, I've been hearing on this offenseless chanting. So if you can explain a little bit more on what that means and how it can be corrected. That is one part of the question. The second question is a bit different. I understand that at the time of death, if one takes name of Krishna and they go to Vrindavan, there are references in Garuda Purana about the scorpion bites and all that. With those difficulties, how can one chant the whole 16 syllables of holy name? Is Krishna or Govinda or Gopala still gives you the same benefit?
Yes. So the first question, Prabhu, can you please? I got the second question. What is the first question? Offenseless chanting. Yes, I got it. Hey, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Surya Prabhu. Wonderful question. More importantly, we are all practitioners. We are all at different stages of our sadhana. Sometimes your quality of chanting can be immensely high than mine when I'm rushing here and there. So we all are in this journey together. And sometimes our bhakti goes up and down. So the offenseless chanting is about focusing on the Lord's name and not thinking about others. As in, sometimes what happens is we do so many other things. We are doing chanting, but at the same time we are doing. So that means when Krishna is present in our tongue, when we are chanting, and at that time Krishna is with us, we go and do something else, it is considered to be offense to Krishna, because Krishna is present with us, and Krishna is in our heart. And whenever you are chanting, you are basically awakening that sense wherein Krishna is very much around us. And at that time, if you like somebody, you like your daughter, for example, when daughter comes to your room, and instead of spending time, you end up looking at TV, this, that, it doesn't give her the kind of appreciation. So from that sense, offenseless chanting is focused chanting, wherein we focus on the name and not stray around. This is a very difficult time. And also the second question, Prabhu, is our ability. See, it's all about practice. What happens, I know where you're coming from. What happens is, you might have heard that wonderful story of some of our devotees from Bombay had told us that this father who was very fond of Coca-Cola, And the sons, after his disappearance, his son felt that if we end up giving Coca-Cola, the father will be very happy. And they all gave, during the Shraddha anniversary, they gave everybody Coca-Cola. And eventually, that feeling has set in because they were not focusing on Krishna consciousness. The practice aspect is important because when you end up practicing a whole life, you'll see something. When something falls down, a person in Krishna consciousness, he will say, "Oh, Krishna." That means that obvious thing of practicing around Krishna consciousness will come in. But if you're not Krishna consciousness, and you're in the prior life where you're mostly doing potlocking on Fridays, your outcome, your response system is different. So don't lose heart. If you chant, I guarantee you that I've seen it. Some of my near and dear, when they passed out, how difficult it was for them to chant it. It was painful. But some others who were very much connected with Guru Sadhu and Shastra, how easy the exit was, because we are all about trying to better our exit strategy from this, because we are temporary. This is Dukkhalaya Saswatam. This is very temporary and this is miserable. And we're just trying to find a way to exit out of this. But it's the journey which is important in addition to the exit. Did that answer your question, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much for your participation, Prabhuji. Any other comments? I would like to hear your thoughts. I'm also trying try to improve my chanting as well. So I would like to hear your thoughts as to what are you doing to increase your quality of chanting. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has spoken so beautifully, and what are you doing? So if you can open up and share, it's all about sharing our techniques. Some people say that whenever you chant, there was a chanting workshop done by somebody, and he said, whenever you chant, you hold your beats close to your heart, because Krishna is close to your heart. And there are many different techniques people follow, but anything you'd like to recommend, please open up, unmute, and share.
Roshni? Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
Prabhuji, very good lecture. But suppose when man is unconscious or in coma and he dies, how this happen? How he can remember this or chant?
Yeah, very nice question. Very nice question. That when somebody he migrates to coma, but he doesn't have the consciousness, because he's trying to sort of wait for him, that entire physical process has stopped. How he is going to think and remember? Very nice question. See, the only thing I would say is sometimes what happens, there are people who, by virtue of some health issues, they stop talking, they stop hearing, they become challenged. But Prabhu, there is this breathing exercise, the heart, the digestive system, all these things are continuing. If a person, you might have heard this Arjun thing. Arjun was so focused that his name is Gudakesha. He was so determined that he used to wake up in the night. He used to practice. In the night, he can't see, but by just hearing the bird which is going, he could shoot and get rid of. So it's into the system. We're nowhere there, but all I'm trying to make is the smaranam part, the meditational part. Even if a person is in coma, but if he's built into a system wherein he is remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead at every step of the way, it's going to help him. So when he's leaving his body in coma, he's still remembering because his system is in place. He's doing his day-to-day chores in the form of, because he's just not walking and he's pretty much, but he's breathing, right? So we have to build this in our, it's difficult, Prabhu, but if you have spent a good amount of time and you have built that love and ruchi, that smaranam angle is going to help. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Any other comments, questions?
It also comes the question whether the person who is unconscious was a devotee or non-devotee.
Right, exactly.
If it is non-devotee, question does not arise.
Right.
But if it is devotee, he has done in only life, may come unconsciously too in the sleep. Like
Right.
our sleep. Now, when I'm sleeping, Hare Krishna, Krishna comes in my sleep too, the chanting.
Right, right.
So it depends on that, I would say.
Yes, exactly. Yes, the upbringing or the conditioning, as Mataji said, whether he has been a devotee in his past. That's the reason why this Krishna consciousness is a practice, and this act of practicing Krishna consciousness has to be built. So that's where we call, Mataji said, we have to be a devotee, follow a process which is laid out so beautifully. Yeah, he has to be a devotee. That's definitely there. But that's how a person should, have that element of ruchi, so that he's there. Thank you, Mataji, for your comment.
Prabhuji, one point. Suppose in such condition, we keep these tape recorder chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, what will it?
It definitely helps, Prabhu. But what happens, Prabhu, I have seen also, some people who have not grown with the Krishna consciousness, they don't like to hear it. I have seen it. They have been so antagonist to this philosophy of Krishna consciousness. They really, so somehow for them, they have not understood this prarabdha karma cycle, and they blame the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They really do not want to hear it. So we have seen such. So all as Mataji said, you have to be a devotee. You have to have that element of practice, so that the time when it comes, whenever you practice the shots properly, cover drive, a time comes when the real ball comes in a test match, you hit it right. So at the right time, so the point is, you have to be a devotee with a tremendous amount of faith in the name of the Lord, as mentioned by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, bro?
Okay.
So comments from Amritanand Prabhu, Surya Prabhu, they have raised their hands. Amritanand
Go ahead,
Prabhu.
Surya Prabhu.
No, I was just about to say that, from medical science standpoint, that person in coma is not left the body. There are heart transplants, without heart also people live. Brain is not the only organ which has memory. So there are other cellular memories which basically other organs in our body has. As like one rightly pointed, if you are in the Krishna conscious moment, if you are chanting, there is many things we don't know about the body, where those memory is stored and which plays back, even though you are in part of the coma, right? So it's not again, we are talking about the science which is adaptive science versus the descended science. So as people find out more about it, we would be able to explain those concepts better. But the point is, if you are really devotionally attached, then those things will automatically kick in.
Awesome. Thank you, bro. Perfect. Yeah. Amritanand Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept our obeisance of Krishna Prabhupada. Thank you for the nice class, Prabhu. I wanted to share a few things from what instructions of Bhakti Rasamrita Swami, and also personal experience, and even the experience of a devotee from our congregation regarding coma and unconsciousness. So there's this devotee called Mauricio Prabhu. He's from Colombia. And Colombia is a very violent place with all the drugs and all, you know that. And several years ago, he and his brother-in-law had gone to the bank to withdraw a large sum of money. Somehow that news leaked out. And when they came out of the bank, two gunmen on a motorcycle opened fire. And he was shot 2-3 bullets in his stomach and chest and back or whatever, multiple gunshot wounds. And he went into coma. Not a devotee. He just like growing up, like a young teenager, 20-year-old something. And he was in coma for a very long time. Now his older brother was a brahmachari in one of the ISKCON temples. So the older brother would come and sit by his bedside and chant Mahamantra. And when he would chant Mahamantra continuously and so-called miraculously, Mauricio came out of it with all faculties intact. And what Mauricio was sharing is that Prabhu says that I could hear as an echo the Mahamantra over and over again. Now this ties into what Bhakti Rasamrita Swami has said, that we have 5 senses, which are the gross bodily senses. Then also the mind has its senses. And then also the soul has spiritual senses. Mahamantra cuts through everything and goes directly to the senses of the soul. So the soul is also in a material condition, in a comatose state. However, Mahamantra touches the soul. So it doesn't matter whether the upper two, the physical or even the mind is functional or no. It cuts through and touches the soul. So that was Mauricio's example. Now, several decades ago, not several, couple of decades ago, we were new to Hare Krishna, brand new, and full of questions, full of doubts. Why this, why not like that, everything. So, and my father is highly diabetic. One evening after work, my father had what is called hypoglycemia, a severe condition of hypoglycemia, where sugar level drops, and hypoglycemia is worse than when your sugar level goes up. It can be fatal. So he had lost all control of his limbs, his arms and legs were just flailing. His eyeballs had bulged out and his tongue was out, and so didn't know what to do. And I called a friend of mine who came over with his Jeep, and we put him in a blanket, carried him and put him in the backside of the Jeep. And this was rush hour, Mumbai, 7 o'clock. And to get, though the hospital was about 3-4 kilometers, it took almost about half an hour. And I was sitting behind and I could see as though death is approaching. In panic, I loudly started screaming, not shouting, screaming the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, as though that would scare death to go away. No understanding of the Mahamantra, no faith in the Mahamantra, just heard in the Bhakti Vrikshan, the Radha Gopinath Mandir, about Mahamantra. Now, they admitted him in the hospital and everyone is running here and there, whatever. Then sometime late in the night or early morning hours, the doctor comes out and says, it's a miracle, what has happened. Now, I don't know exactly what the medical, whoever is a doctor would know. If that number of your sugar level falls below a certain number, then you have brain damage or organ failure, something serious, blindness or whatever. His had fallen way below what is the fatal. At that level, the human body just stops, system closes. It had fallen way below that fatal level, and he came out of it intact. So that was kind of, now someone may say coincidence, but that when it happens to you personally, it is like, yeah, it is the holy name. So holy name works, it's transcendental. And it works even if a person doesn't understand the meaning. So it's said that even the ants and insects and even other creatures, when we chant, even if someone is mocking the holy name, his journey begins. And the other personal case is with my sister. She had aneurysms. And one day at work, the aneurysm burst. And then obviously it's pretty serious. And they wheeled her into the OT for emergency, whatever, brain surgery. They did all that. And my mother, who's my Shiksha Guru as well as my god sister, throughout that ordeal, all she did was chant the holy name. She just kept chanting nonstop. And people were running around, relatives, cousins here, there, whatever, do Navina, do Hanuman Chalisa, this, that, Mrityunjay, Jap, whatever. Each one was doing their own thing. And my mom said, nothing doing, it is just holy name. And whatever Krishna desires, if he wants. And the same thing, the doctor said that we have to perform these surgeries. And it's pretty risky because where that aneurysm is. And, it's anybody's call. And she has come out of it unscathed. So these are some examples, real life and personal, of the power of the holy name. And whether a person is conscious, unconscious, and finally, Krishna gives a promise. Even if we forget Krishna at the time of death, he doesn't forget anything and everything that we have done for him. Hare Krishna, Prabhus. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So nice. Three pastimes of devotees. It's amazing, the faith on and sometimes having that constant faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead's holy name is amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And more and more we dwell on it and have faith, because sometimes something bad happens, we lose faith. So please, that's a wonderful.
చేయాలి, అందరం చేయాలి, కానీ ఇది
So thank you so much, Prabhuji, and for your participation. And any other comments before we end, and before we have Simesha Prabhu end this? The Sikshastakam is very, very powerful, and hope by the second verse, our faith in this holy name increases leaps and bounds in due course. So if any last comments, any thoughts, anybody wants to add?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. It was a wonderful class. Thank you so much for this class. And also the amazing, the experience shared by Amritanand Prabhuji. Actually, I had a question to Amritanand Prabhuji's, the experience that he shared. Prabhuji, you mentioned that the mind, the gross body has 5 senses, and the mind also has 5 senses, and the soul also has spiritual senses. So, and when we chant this holy name, it transcends all these senses and it reaches to the soul. So I just got this question in my mind. Then what about any of the verses, like in Bhagavad Gita, we have some verses. So chanting that also would have the same experience. Would that reach the soul, or is it just with the the holy name we are talking about?
Amritanand Prabhu? Yeah, go ahead.
The usual etiquette is the person of the Vyasasana. So, first is Prabhu, if you'd like to answer it, or with your permission, I would take that question.
Yeah. So Okay, then yeah. So thanks for reminding me, but I would have given it to you anyway because you touched on 3 use cases through 3 examples. So so Mahamantra is very powerful. That's why it's called Mahamantra. It's not any mantra, and Krishna has invested everything. So there are as um, as you might have heard, Mataji, nowadays when we are discussing, we are finding a lot of things which was not heard of before. And as Surya Prabhu also mentioned, there are memory pockets everywhere. And as doctors are doing more investigation, they're finding things which are new over a period of time. What was considered the thing is no more the thing. There are a lot of inventions, and with computers, the inventions are becoming significant. And they try to break a particle. They after some time they couldn't break it further, and that's why they called it a God particle, right? So this Hare Krishna Mahamantra has the power of Hare Krishna Mahamantra touches the heart. That's exactly what you're saying. It is because the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is recommended not just by 100 years. It's done by sages who have done a lot of studies, and after that it has been proclaimed to be the one which, by uttering this 16th level uttering, even mechanically, will give you that element of consciousness. Ratnakar, when he was so fallen, when Narad Muni said, just chant Rama, 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 he said, I can't because I'm so fallen. And he said, hey, if you can't, then do Mara, 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 Mara. Just by mechanical, the sound vibration as it try to percolate into our heart and mind and soul everywhere, it cleanses, it has that effect. So I don't know whether your question was, but it really percolates everywhere. It percolates in our consciousness, and it percolates in our soul, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and eventually it cleanses all the impurities, as the verses are saying. Did I answer your question, Mataji? And we'll have comments from Amritanand Prabhu. But is that what you're looking for?
Yes, Prabhuji, like because we have read in Gita Mahatmya and so many places, like every chapter of Bhagavad Gita also has a importance attached to it, and there it's mentioned that at the time of death or whatever, like those things happen by chanting the certain verses of the Bhagavad Gita, even the soul gets released from the clutches of this the material existence. So I was just trying to understand if somebody is in coma or chanting the Bhagavad Gita verses, would that also help, or is it just that at that time just chanting the holy name, I was
Right.
just trying to understand the effect of chanting the
Sure,
Bhagavad Gita
sure.
verses at that.
Yeah, so Mataji, Bhagavad Gita is not a text, it's a context, right? So what that means is Arjuna is in such a certain situation, and because of that, the verse is there. Arjuna is in a sad situation. Arjuna is getting confusing thing. So Bhagavad Gita is also recited when the person is in the deathbed. But our acharyas mentioned, Mataji, that the Mahamantra is the best solution at the time of our departure. Because the contextual thing, what is going on in the mind of the devotee who is waiting to leave the body, is very difficult to. But this Krishna consciousness, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is so soothing that it is going to benefit, and it takes away all the context, all the conditions, all the if then else in our mind, and it will help. Okay, Prabhu, go ahead. Um, you want to say something? So Prabhuji has put a video of an insect listening Mahamantra. Go ahead, Prabhu.
So
Go ahead.
this is
Take
just
it away.
about that picture is when I said even insects, and this experience is sometimes I sit outside to do the shoe saver, put them in those boxes. And whilst doing that, I'm doing japa. Now there was this, I don't know, it's a moth. I don't know what kind of insect. It was going all over the flowers bed over there, summertime last year. And it was also trying to get near people as though attacking. And devotees and kids were getting kind of scared. So I was chanting and it was hovering in front of me. And I put my finger out and that jiva came and sat on my finger. And maybe about 5 minutes or even more, I don't know how long, very long, it just sat there attentively without moving. And I increased the volume of my chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And I kind of shook my finger also to see if it would fly away, but it just sat there. Now, of course, again, someone may say coincidence, but if we can understand even a little bit about Mahamantra and have faith in the Acharya's instruction that even any entity, whatever be the condition and whatever be the faculty of their understanding, brain, intellect, whatever, they also benefit from chanting. And to Gunjan Mata, your question of Bhagavad Gita, all these are transcendental literature. Transcendental, we understand that it is not material sound. It is spiritual sound. And every spiritual sound, look at it as medicine, correct? Now, we in this condition, the medicine as what Prabhu had given so many Shastric references is Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But our condition is so severe that even something as simple and sublime of Mahamantra, we cannot fully adopt it or even do it properly. So then we need this knowledge, the proper knowledge. So whatever we do, whatever knowledge we get, anything and everything that we do in seva, whatever be that case, is to help us chant properly. And the ultimate goal, people asked Prabhupada, his disciple, Prabhupada, what is the purpose of chanting? He's saying the end goal of chanting is to chant more. So japa is all in all. Everything is in japa, the knowledge, the experience, the love, everything is contained in japa. As Prabhu had mentioned, it's no different than Krishna, and Krishna is the source of everything. So Bhagavad Gita, we hear, we memorize, we repeat, is so that whatever is this conditioning that we have, one is being transcendental, it chips away at our conditioning. The other is we get the knowledge, which would then help us make our japa more meaningful. Romapad Swami Maharaj has said that when we sit down for japa, before we sit down for japa, be thoughtful, why am I doing it? And for something to have meaning, something to have a purpose, we should know about what we're doing. And therefore, all this knowledge, Divya Gyan, becomes important so that when we do japa and we become thoughtful about japa before chanting japa, it is meaningful. And finally, the last point is some Prabhu had asked about a process of how to improve japa. Romapad Maharaj in his japa retreat had said that, we are chanting offensively, full of offenses. Continue chanting, don't stop. And he said, increase the quantity. You can't do quality, increase your quantity. So typically those who have taken Diksha make a vow of 16 rounds and we stop at 16 rounds. But let's say you say, I will do 18 rounds, even if it's offensive. And gradually, when the quantity, though offensive, you make that level of commitment, that's another way of how the quality can improve. So whatever, 16 rounds, if you're doing 2, say I'll do 4, whatever you're doing, go above that. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Wonderful instructions. So wonderful question, wonderful participation. So I think we can end here. So Mr. Prabhu, just take it away and let's end. Thank you so much for your attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, thank you for that wonderful class, and also from Amritanand Prabhuji about all the instructions for japa. Prabhuji, one request is, would you be able to post the link for the early morning japa chanting, the Zoom link in this group?
This, Mataji, are you part of Japathon?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm in that group, yes.
Okay, so in Japathon, there is a group info, right? When you have your name, so in the group info, I have put the morning Zoom links, the evening Zoom links, and our temple YouTube channel link. Everything is there in ISKCON ICNJ Japathon group info. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I think Simeshwar Prabhu must be in some other seva, so we can bring it to a close. Let us thank Hema Jagannath Prabhu by calling out Hari Bol 3 times. Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Shri 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 Sikshastakam ki
Jai.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ji ki Jai. Panchatattva ji ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Brinda ki Jai. Mancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyaya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hema Jagannath Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Hema Jagannath Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.